Hey gang, Matt from Easy Breakouts, about to start another current market trend review, but before I do, just wanted to mention that if you find this video helpful, be sure to click on that subscribe button down below. Also, you can view additional videos by visiting our YouTube channel. Alright, let's hop into our analysis. So folks, across the board, kind of a quiet close to the week. It was options expiry, it was high volume, but for the most part, indices really didn't do much here. We had the Dow, S&Ps, Nasdaqs all off fractionally. What we did see is that the crude settled out. We saw the bonds coming off with the yields spiking up into year-and-a-half highs, and also the gold coming down, tagging the 1200s. We'll see all of this on the charts, and as always, we're going to start off with the S&P 500s. So folks, we talked about here how the S&P 500 somewhat looking very positive here above these 2180s. We did make an attempt at all-time highs. Again, remember, all-time highs are 2193.81. We were not able to get up to those levels or close above those levels. In fact, a little bit of a distribution day and a heavy volume sell-off and reversal, but it is options expiry, so you're going to have to take that with a grain of salt. As we look to the 60-minute charts here, I think it's going to be important for us to hold these 2180s. If you start to fall below the 2180s, which I don't think would pose too much of an issue, a lot of stocks are extended. They do need a new base or some kind of a resting period. So if the markets were to fall below the 2180s, I think the main area that you're going to want to hold is right around these 2150s. Okay, so even if you pull back in here, I think you'd still be setting up fairly nicely across the board. A lot of stocks would be putting in high handles or flat bases or other types of bases. So on the S&Ps here, we did pull back just a little bit. Same deal with the Nasdaq. If we pull up the Nasdaq here, we made it almost up into new highs here. In fact, I think we did actually cross through new highs. 5342.88 was the high in the Nasdaq. On Friday, we got up to 5346. So just by a hair, we got up into new all-time highs in the Nasdaq, but we're not able to hold it. And then we kind of reversed off to close the day negative. We did see the Dow Jones hanging out here, still forming this beautiful little high handle. In fact, that's a predominant chart pattern that you'll see across the board on leading stocks. Also, you see that here on the Russell. Look at that Russell actually posting up into new all-time highs. So Russell here, folks, leading the charge. We've got the S&P's, Nasdaq still trying to hang out, trying to break into and hold and close above all-time highs. But here we have the Russell leading the way and the Dow just right on the doorstep of all-time highs. As we take a look at some of our external markets here, as I was mentioning, the gold came right down and tagged the 1200s. We've been saying that for the last couple of weeks here, that likely was going to be a place to look to if you broke down below these 1250s, which was a price support. Just kind of zooming out here, we looked to these 1250s from the Brexit lows. We also came right down to it in the beginning of October, and once we cracked through it after the election here, we said 1200s was a likely target. We got down to 1201.30. Taking a look at the crude here, that tagged the 43s on the way down here. A bit of a shakeout before bouncing, and in fact kind of forming a little bit of a bullish setup here. If you can break out above these 47s, you might have some upside potential here on the crude. And then finally here on the 10-year bonds, look at that, new lows here posting down into the 125s. If you take a look at the 10-year yields, look at that, 2.335%. Awesome, right? Very, very big move, and this is the kind of move that happens on essentially the breakout in the 10-year yields is because of the breakdown in the bonds. And we've been watching the technical levels here on the bonds for quite some time, pointing out all the support areas that started to break down along the ways. And folks, here we have a great example of why we watch those support and resistance, because once the momentum starts to build, that's where you can have these really big runs. And folks, as we start to look at the equities, even though we had kind of a quiet day on Friday, it didn't deter us from taking a couple of good trades here. One was this Wix. We actually were watching this as a bit of like a double bottom right in here with a bit of a handle. We took a trade on Thursday, if you could call. Right after the open, we caught a nice little $1.50, almost $2 move higher on a day trade. And then this stock set up again for Friday. In fact, you can see it here just setting up real nice, getting a nice Nice little pop right above the 49.50s, trading all the way up to the 51.60s before kind of backing off towards the end of the day. If you take a look at this on a daily chart, we also saw a nice build in volume, WIX, and relative strength, very, very strong. Again, as always, when we talk about stocks, it's not because this is a stock you should buy, sell, or hold. Again, we're just trying to show or illustrate the type of characteristics one would be looking for when they search for leading stocks that are breaking out. Again, remember the criteria that we use to screen out stock ideas is high relative strength stocks breaking out of volume from recognizable chart patterns. Those are the main things. But other than that, folks, as we start to head into the holidays, trade is going to start slowing down after this week as we head into Christmas. And other than that, folks, just wishing you the best of success out there with your trades, and join us next time for our market analysis. Hey, by the way, if you haven't done so already and you're liking the analysis, go ahead and hit that subscribe button down below. And as a reminder, you can also view additional videos by visiting our YouTube channel. Or if you'd like to find out more about Easy Breakouts, go ahead and click that Show More right above the comments section to find out more about Easy Breakouts. But other than that, have a great trading day ahead, and may the trend be with you. Take care, everyone.